It's different from this situation when Eludiba appeared. When Eludiba appeared, all the invited guests in the hall, regardless of their status, would come forward to joke and congratulate today's birthday. However, Thierry, when His Royal Highness Princia appeared, the entire hall was silent. Although in terms of strength, any famous spiritual master present would be stronger than Thierry. However, even with his powerless hands, in front of the young man, these powerful nobles from all over the empire did not even dare to take a breath. This is an invisible majesty, and a unique aura that only princes of the 4 continental empires, like Thierry, can possess. Following Thierry are a group of old men with grey beards. The leader has a pair of wise eyes, gentle, that shines with the light of wisdom. It is Master Balandaean, the master of elixirs in the palace of the Salem Empire. In terms of strength, Balandaean is an 8th-level low-level imperial spiritual master. He cannot compare with Eludiba in terms of combat, but his status as a 7th-level intermediate elixir emperor made everyone present. I dare not look down upon this ruddy-faced old man. The nearly 10 old men following Balandaean are all palace elixir masters of the empire. The worst one among them also has the status of a 6th-level low-level elixir master. Strength, and most of the old men are 6th-level intermediate and high-level elixir masters. Anyone who comes to Chi'er province will have the status of the province's number 1 elixir master. This time, Prince Thierry came to Chi'er province. In Ershing province, the most direct reason is the emergence of the secret realm of Lingqi. The empire specially sent a team of palace elixirs to investigate, and congratulating Eludiba on his birthday was just a way of doing it. As soon as Thierry entered the hall, she first went to Eludiba to congratulate her, then casually chatted with Mu for a few words, and then set her sights on the Lord Odlin in the corner. Your Highness Thierry Aldrin stepped forward and smiled. Hello, old man. Thierry returned the gift respectfully. His move immediately surprised all the guests present. Falut, why don't you come over and see Thierry soon? Your Highness Leah, City Lord Odlin said to Falut, who was chatting happily with Loken behind him. Falut has met your Highness. Haha, Sister Falut, you're welcome. Thierry seemed extremely cordial, and the two of them seemed quite familiar. After Felt just casually said a few words to Thierry, she returned to the corner of the hall and sat next to Loken. This move made Thierry look at her a few more times with concern. Loken. Mr. Odlin, we haven't seen each other for 2 years. Master Balandaean also greeted Odlin, and at the same time scolded a handsome young man behind him. Gordon, I haven't come to meet the old man yet. Lord Odlin, Gordon wishes to greet you. We haven't seen you for several years, but you are still so old and strong. The young man hurriedly took 2 steps forward, with a gentle look on his face. He smiled and saluted. That's right, that's right. I haven't seen you in a few years. He looks a lot more mature. Odlin smiled and encouraged him. I'm afraid my strength is even more amazing now. Oh, Lord Dellin, I am fortunate enough to be promoted to the 7th level Imperial Spiritual Master last year. Gordon had a hint of pride on his face. 7th level Imperial Spiritual Master? Odlin said with a smile on his face. Yes, I remember. You are less than 30 this year, right? Lord Odlin, I am 28 this year. Although Gordon's expression was extremely serious, the trace of pride in his eyes could not be wiped away. The 28-year-old 7th level Imperial Spiritual Master is indeed a genius. It's incredible. I was an Imperial Spiritual Master who was promoted to the rank of Imperial Spiritual Master when he was in his 40s. Alas, people are really comparing themselves to each other. It's so annoying. Among the crowd, an old man looked a little emotional. Haha, Mr. Mo sighed. He is a disciple of Master Balandaean. How can you compare with others? I remember I was almost 40 when I advanced to the 7th level of low-level Imperial Spirit Master. There were bursts of discussion in the entire hall. Everyone looked at Gordon with admiration and exclaimed. Gordon was very proud and looked at Odlin in front of him calmly. As a disciple of Master Balandaean, he knew the importance of the family behind the old man in front of him in the empire. The reason why he told his purpose of being promoted to the imperial spiritual master was to attract the attention of this master. Although the old man himself, the strength is not high. But his family is definitely a behemoth hidden in the empire. A 28-year-old 7th-level imperial spiritual master, he is indeed young and promising in Gordon's expectant eyes. Odlin only praised him with a hint of saltiness. When he said this, his eyes passed over Kiros and Loken, and finally stopped at Jason in the corner. Kiros is only 24 this year, but he has already reached the realm of the 6th-level senior spiritual master. Loken is only 19, but he has also reached the 6th-level low-level spiritual master. With their talents, as long as they don't meet no matter what the bottleneck is, it is quite certain to advance to the 7th level of Emperor Spiritual Master before the age of 28. What amazed Odlin the most was Jason. In terms of age, he looked to be a few years older than Loken. However, not long ago, he was the one who killed Cornhill, a man who had long been famous in the Chi'er province. The 7th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master even had a battle with Wade Wuchi, the 7th level high-level Imperial Spiritual Master. If Aldrin heard about Gordon a year ago, he would definitely give him a thumbs up and praise him as a genius. But now, in comparison with the three Jasons, Gordon seems a bit inadequate. Seeing the direction where Odlin was looking, everyone who had been amazed before fell silent. After learning about Jason's deeds, they couldn't help but mutter in their hearts, what if he was promoted at the age of 28? If Gordon, the Imperial Spiritual Master, is a peerless genius, then who is sitting in the corner now, the young man from the Mori family who not long ago killed Cornhill, the famous Imperial Spiritualist? Are you a monster? Gordon, who was waiting for Aldrin's praise with great interest, only received a bland "you are young and promising" in exchange for it. This made Gordon feel a little disappointed. This Gordon can be considered a member of the Empire. He is a genius, but Master Kiros and Master Loken of the Mori family in the hall may not be worse than him when they reach this age. If compared with Jace of the Mori family, then this Gordon is much worse. I don't know which guest in the crowd said this softly. Hush, you don't want to die. You dare to say such nonsense. The person next to him hurriedly reminded. But these words had already been heard by Gordon, and his face suddenly became gloomy. The banquet continued as usual, but in the hearts of all the guests, the position of the Lord of Aldrin City had completely risen to an unreachable height, able to make Master Eludiba, Master Mu, Master Balandaean, and even Imperial Tai, the person Her Royal Highness Leah wants to take the initiative to greet, is definitely not just a small city lord. At the same time, because of Odlin's attention, Jason and others also paid attention to others, and many guests were polite. He walked over with a glass of wine, his attitude was extremely low, and he chatted and laughed with the Kester clan leader, and then passed some compliments to the Lord of Aldrin through the Kester clan leader. In fact, even without the presence of Odlin, these guests still planned to come over and make friends with the Mori family. After all, a family with two talented teenagers, Jason and Loken, would only have two young geniuses, Jason and Loken. People fail early, and the rise of the Mori family is only a matter of time. Instead of waiting for the other party to rise, it is better to establish a good relationship now. Even if the Mori family does not rise by then, they will not suffer a loss. Jason has always represented the Mori family, and people regard Jason as a member of the Mori family. Because of the high status of Prince Tyuria and Master Balandaean, only people like Eludiba and Mr. Mu are qualified to speak to them. They are like ordinary guests who dare not come forward at all. Greet. Suddenly a rather strange scene appeared in the hall. The corner where Kester and others were staying suddenly became the busiest place in the entire hall. Compared to the smile on the face of the Kester clan leader, Jason couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. In this situation, it was impossible for him to find a quiet place to stay. Mr. Snooker, do you know that boy? On the other side of the hall, since he didn't get the praise he wanted from Aldrin, Gordon focused his attention on Felt, the most noble girl in the hall. Gordon's background was he was not tall. He came from the countryside and had an unhappy childhood. In the end, because of his outstanding talent, he was spotted by Balandaean, the elixir master of the imperial court. After being accepted as a disciple, his status suddenly became noble. However, among aristocratic families and nobles, there are many imperial capitals. Although Gordon has shown great talent, his status in the empire is not too high and he has never been able to integrate into the aristocratic circle of the empire. He also knows that he wants to truly integrate in. In addition to having the power to dominate the world in the future, marrying a direct daughter of a large imperial family is the most convenient shortcut. But what makes Gordon depressed is that during the entire banquet, Falut gathered in the corner where Odlin was, and didn't even come over to say hello to him. You're talking about Loken, right? He is the young master of the Mori family, and he is already a low-level spiritual master at the age of 19. The man next to him in blue-gray robes named Jace is even more astonishing. Seeing Balanda Snooker was extremely excited because Dabiai's disciple took the initiative to talk to him. However, as he has matured, when he talked about Jason, he spoke of Jason's strength in an extremely euphemistic way. Oh, Gordon nodded and didn't ask any more questions. So this kid is Jason, is he very ordinary? Gordon looked calm on the surface, but he was extremely resentful in his heart, being beaten by Jason. While he was stealing the limelight, he was thinking about what would happen to make Jason look embarrassed. As time passed, the birthday party soon entered the theme. Guests from various families gave their carefully prepared gifts to the protagonists of the party, and began to give gifts to the birthday boy, Patriarch Aludiba. In fact, in Stern Land, birthday gift-giving was originally just a simple episode. However, after years of evolution, it has become a program for nobles to show off their wealth and secretly compare themselves. Clan Bunus of the Wuya family, a 7th-level earth element spiritual core. Clan Nanmaki of the Kent family, a mysterious intermediate spiritual weapon, the heaven-cutting sword. Clan Minghua of the Matada family, a 6th-level fire crystal. Yes. The Cook family. A lot of names of gifts were called out, like singing a salute. Each gift was better than the last, causing everyone to exclaim. Those whose gifts were exclaimed by others all had proud smiles on their faces. As for those whose gifts were inferior, they were too embarrassed to stay here. They found an excuse and hid in a corner. Everyone on the scene was stunned. When the two came forward to give gifts, the Kester Patriarch looked nervously at Jason. Especially after hearing the gifts from these families, sweat broke out on the forehead of the Kester Patriarch. Beads, 7th-level earth spiritual cores, and any of the Shenpin intermediate spiritual weapons are almost worth all the property accumulated by the entire Mori family over the years, which makes Kester. I felt invisible pressure. After all, among the guests who came to the banquet, even the worst family had a 7th-level low-level imperial spiritual master, and the Mori family was really inconspicuous compared to these families. Although Kester was full of confidence in Jason, after hearing so many treasures, he inevitably felt a little unsure. Lord of Odlin of Rainbow City, a 7th-level gold spiritual core. At this moment, the servant who received the gift sang loudly. Compared with the earth spiritual core given by the leader of the Bunus clan of the Nawuya family before, the gold spiritual core sent by the Lord of Aldalan seems to be a lot suitable for Aludiba, a gold imperial spiritual master, but Patriarch Bunus of the Wuya family is only a 7th-level intermediate imperial spiritual master. Being able to send out a 7th-level earth-type spiritual core would probably have drained the family's fortune. Mr. Odlin, it's already an honor for me to have you here. How can I let you waste your money? Aludiba said with a smile. Expensing money? Haha, it's just a 7th-level spiritual core. I'm afraid that the Aludiba Patriarch will look down on it. Odlin also joked. And Aldrin's gift also confirmed everyone's suspicions that this Lord of Aldrin was definitely not simple. If Odlin is really just a small city lord, he simply cannot afford to give away a 7th-level spiritual core. After all, a 7th level spiritual core is worth tens of millions of spiritual coins, which is almost the total property of an ordinary family. Moreover, when someone sent a 7th level spiritual core before, Aludiba didn't say anything, but this time after Odlin sent a 7th level spiritual core, Aludiba's enthusiastic performance also illustrates this point. Aludiba, although today is your birthday, but I don't have anything good for you here. I will give this space ring to your son Kiros. I hope he can advance to the 7th level of Emperor Spiritual Master as soon as possible. Among the crowd, Muzai come forward and smile. Oh my god, turned out to be a space finger. No, Master Mu is too generous. After hearing the gift from Mu, a burst of exclamation suddenly came from the hall. Space ring is a legendary priceless treasure, extremely rare. Everyone present is considered an elite in each province of the Salem Empire, but there are only a few people who have a space ring in their hands, which is enough to show its preciousness. Kiros, why don't you quickly thank Uncle Mu? Thank you, Uncle Mu. Taking the space ring from Mu's hand, Kiros, who had always had a steady expression, suddenly shouted with joy, with uncontrollable joy in his eyes. Kiros has always wanted a space ring, but although he is a member of the family as a junior, he would not be able to possess a treasure like the space ring before he was promoted to the 7th level of Imperial Spiritual Master. Look, Master Balandayan has gone all out. Master Balandayan is a 7th level intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master. I don't know what gifts he will give. Seeing Master Balandayan step forward, people in the hall murmured. Master Balandayan, a 6th grade high-grade spiritual potion, Jinwu potion. As the waiter sang loudly, everyone below suddenly felt a sense of disappointment. When they thought about it, Master Balandayan, as a 7th level intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master, had to send out 7th level Imperial Spiritual elixirs. Unexpectedly, it is only a 6th level high-grade Golden Spirit potion. Although this Golden Spirit potion can allow the Arudiba Patriarch, who is an 8th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, to recover a certain amount of spiritual power in a short time when his spiritual power is exhausted, it can be regarded as this rare treasure would be worth tens of millions of spiritual coins if auctioned, but compared with Master Mu's space ring, it is far behind. However, everyone also knows that gifts are usually expensive, or they are meant to curry favor with Aludiba's family patriarchs. Or just like Mu, Aludiba's best friend. As a master of elixirs in the Imperial Palace, Master Balandayan only had a moderate relationship with the Arudiba Patriarch, and he did not need to curry favor with the Arudiba Patriarch, so the things he gave were relatively ordinary. In fact, if possible, Balanday would also like to give a 7th level Imperial elixir. After all, a bottle of 7th level Imperial elixir is enough to exchange for the sincere friendship of an 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master. One more friend is just a gift. However, although Balandayan's strength can prepare royal potions, the materials for 7th level elixirs are too rare. Given his status, there are not many, so he only took out the 6th level high-grade elixir materials. Golden Spirit Potion. At this moment, His Royal Highness Prince Tyuria came in front of the Arudiba clan leader. Chief Arudiba, I don't have anything good to give you, but this time when I came to Chiur province, I brought an instruction from my father. When he said this, Tyuria took the parchment came out, and on the top of the parchment was the spiritual seal sealed by His Majesty Peter. Clan Chief Aludiba, my father said that the Bloody Abyss Mountain in the Lingqi secret realm appeared in the Lingqi Mountains this time, and it belongs to the Chiur province. The mining rights of the Blood Abyss Mountain belong to the Chiur province. The mining rights of Blood Abyss Mountain? As soon as Tyelia's words came out, the guests who knew the inside story, everyone in the crowd let out an exclamation. Although no one knew what the blood-red mineral veins on the Blood Abyss Mountain had so far, the famous name of the secret realm of the spiritual pool, the Bloody Abyss Spiritual Pool, let them know that this Bloody Abyss Mountain the crystal veins are definitely not unknown. The mining rights of a special mine were given as a gift. Such a generous gift was unrivaled by anyone above this banquet. However, when everyone was exclaiming, Aludiba did not have many unexpected surprises in his heart. The secret realm of Lingqi has been in Chi'er province for so many years, and the quota is also managed by the File family. Now Blood Abyss Mountain appears in the Lingqi Mountains, it is only natural that the mining rights belong to the Fil family. However, Arudiba still expressed his gratitude to the Empire for its decision and His Highness Tieria very enthusiastically. After so many turmoils, the nobles no longer have the intention of competing for gifts, but the gifts given by some big families still elicited waves of exclamations of envy. These people must be from the Mori family. I wonder how many of them came to attend Mr. Aludiba's birthday party. What kind of gifts did they prepare? Let me see it. At this moment, Gordon, who had been standing silently at the side of the hall, suddenly came to Jason and the others, speaking with a sincere smile on his face. His words immediately attracted the attention of almost everyone present. Gordon has always been unhappy with Jason and Loken stealing his limelight, and wanted to make the other party look embarrassed. During his previous inquiries, he also found out that the Mori family was just a small family in Rainbow City. That's all. Normally, you are not qualified to participate in Lord Aludiba's banquet. However, the reason why you can participate this time is probably because of two good geniuses. After learning the news, he immediately came forward and deliberately asked. He also knew that a small family like the Mori family could not come up with anything good at all. Generally speaking, on such an occasion, the Mori family only needs to give out the gifts, and the attendants will sing casually and then walk over. Everyone present will not be much impressed, especially Mr. Aludiba. Don't mind, after all, there were too many gifts given out in the entire banquet. But after Gordon's question, everyone's attention was immediately attracted, so it's not easy to fool them. If the gift sent by the Mori family is too chilling, everyone will not say anything on the surface, but they will still feel it in their hearts. Despise, this is disrespectful to Lord Aludiba, and Aludiba's impression of the Mori family will be greatly reduced. Looking at Gordon's smiling smile, Kester showed an awkward smile and said, Lord Gordon, our Mori family is just a small family, and the gifts are simple and insignificant. Hey! Chief Kester, don't say that. Gordon said sincerely, since your Mori family can cultivate such outstanding children, you must have a rich heritage. I think this gift will not disappoint everyone. Listening to the two, everyone present was a human being. Knowing the strength of the Mori family, how could they not understand Gordon's purpose? It was obviously because of the previous incident that Gordon was unhappy with the Mori family. While they despised Gordon's narrow-mindedness in their hearts, everyone present couldn't help but wonder what kind of gifts a small family like the Mori family could come up with. Even Aludiba and others looked over curiously. Kester immediately looked to Jason for help. In full view of everyone, Jason just smiled and took out 3 bottles of elixirs of different colors from his body with great indifference, and handed them to the Phil family waiter who walked by. Because there was a birthday party, the entire hall was brightly lit. As soon as Jason's elixir appeared, many people present's eyes lit up. The elixir that could be taken out at Lord Aludiba's birthday party. Although everyone did not know the levels and functions of these 3 bottles of elixir, from Jason's calm and confident expression, they had already preconceived the idea that this elixir was the level of the 3 bottles of elixir must not be low. For an 8th level imperial spiritual master like Aludiba, the lord of a province, at his birthday party, generally no one would be able to get a spiritual potion lower than the 6th level. Although this is not a hard and fast rule, but it is also an unwritten rule in everyone's mind. Since the Mori family has come to attend the banquet, they must still understand this rule. It seems that the Mori family has indeed put in a lot of effort. Many people sighed with emotion. They all know the size of the Mori family. In a small family like this, the chief elixir master in the family is usually about a 5th level intermediate elixir master. At most, there is a 5th level senior elixir master who is already in the sky. Think about it. It is simply impossible to come up with a 6th level elixir without spending a lot of money and connections in the family. Among the people attending the banquet, in addition to the patriarchs of various families, there were also elixir masters such as Locke. When they saw Jason taking out the elixir, they were amazed and subconsciously observed it, and then they all couldn't help but stunned. Hey, something's wrong. Judging from the luster, this elixir doesn't seem to be a high-level elixir? A master of elixir couldn't help but say something. The other elixir masters on the side could not help but frown, their eyes full of doubts. Those who can participate in the birthday party of Patriarch Eludiba are all chief elixirs from various families. Just like Locke, his strength is not too weak. Among them, the weakest one who appears alone as an elixir is also a 5th-level advanced elixir master. The level of the elixir is not only verified by the fluctuation of spiritual power emitted by opening the bottle cap and the effect after taking it, but also by observing the appearance and color. Generally, the higher the level of the elixir, the brighter the luster. Under the illumination of the light, it will give people a more magnificent feeling, just like when Jason and Cohen Hill were on the Rainbow City competition stage. During the battle, several bottles of high-level spiritual elixirs were taken out, and under the sunlight, a gorgeous glow instantly formed over Tianhong City. At this moment, the 3 bottles of elixir that Jason took out looked a bit dull under the bright lights in the hall, with extremely poor light transmittance. There were also some flocks in them. This kind of appearance is usually only found in some inferior products. It can only be seen on low-level spiritual potions. Sir, I wonder what kind of elixir these 3 bottles of elixir are. The attendant holding the tray looked at Jason in front of him and asked. Suddenly, the eyes of all the guests in the entire hall were focused here. Even Mr. Mu, Prince Tyuria, and others stopped talking, wanting to see the 3 bottles of spirit sent by Jason on behalf of the Mori family. What exactly is a potion? Kester on the side looked at Jason expectantly. Although he believed in Jason very much, his palms still sweated. These 3 bottles of elixir decided who would be Mori. The family is the first impression in the minds of so many powerful families in the empire. A faint smile appeared on Jason's face, and he said calmly, these 3 bottles of spiritual potion, from left to right, are a 3rd-order high-grade active potion, a 4th-order high-grade gentle potion, and a 5th-order high-grade fusion potion. Silence, deathly silence. After hearing Jason tell the levels of these 3 bottles of elixir, the smiles on everyone's faces in the entire hall froze in an instant, with expressions of disbelief on their faces and their mouths wide open. Of 3rd level top grade, 4th level top grade, 5th level top grade? Are you sure I heard you right? A middle-aged man shook his companion with confusion on his face. You seem to have heard it correctly, right? The companion next to him also stared in disbelief. Jess doesn't think that a high-grade elixir is a good elixir, right? On Lord Eludiba's birthday, given the strength of the Mori family, I can understand giving a 5th-grade high-grade elixir, but this, what do the other 2 bottles of elixir mean? Are they given together? Isn't this too funny? Nonsense, this is just nonsense. If Jason had taken out 3 bottles of 5th-grade high-grade elixir, although everyone will be disappointed, they are not surprised. After all, the strength of the Mori family is there, but Jason's other 2 bottles of 3rd-level and 4th-level spiritual potions are really incomprehensible to everyone. For a time, the entire hall was filled with dense discussions. Jason's petal dagger really gave them a big surprise. In the center of the hall, Prince Tyuria wanted to laugh, but couldn't, while Patriarch Eludiba's face was expressionless, and he didn't know what he was thinking in his heart. As for Chief Kester next to Jason, even more, he was completely stupid over there. He turned his head, trying to find some comfort from Locke's face, but Locke also looked confused and didn't know why. They simply couldn't figure out why Jason did this. Others didn't know Jason, but they knew clearly that in order to treat Loken's illness, Jason easily took out several bottles of 6th-grade high-grade wood. It is a vitality potion, and in the battle with Cornhill, the number of 6th-level spiritual potions that Jason drank could not be counted on the fingers of one's fingers. Taking out a bottle of 6th level elixir may be a difficult thing for the Mori family, but for Master Jace, this is not a problem at all. However, the 3 bottles of elixir that Jason took out at this moment are however, both Kester and Locke were completely confused. They couldn't understand why Jason did this. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Just as Kester and Locke were staring at each other, a burst of laughter suddenly came from the silent hall. In front of Jason, Gordon bent over, holding his belly, his mouth wide open, pointing at Jason, almost laughing with tears in his eyes. Jess, right? Just now, the Kester patriarch said that the gift is crude. I still didn't believe it, but now I believe it. No, this is not crude, this is simply rubbish. What the hell did you give me? After half a day of reading the book, Gordon finally came to his senses. He shouted disdainfully at Jason, with even a hint of anger in his tone, and said disdainfully, 3A high-grade activating potion? I know it is used to activate the spiritual power in the body of the spiritual master. Well, to be fair, this activating potion is still a good elixir. But are you really sure that this 3rd order activating potion? Will the spiritual potion of yours have an effect on an 8th level imperial spiritual master like Mr. Eludiba? Gordon shook his head, looking distressed. You are not here to give a gift at all, you are causing trouble, and you are hurting Lord Rudiba's insult. Gordon said righteously, and only his sonorous voice echoed in the entire hall. Gordon had already spoken to this point, and everyone in the hall was silent. Although they couldn't stand Gordon's stubborn character, to be fair, the gift from the Mori family was really too shabby. A little bit. Everyone knows that your family background is not as good as others, but you should at least get a few bottles of 5th grade high-grade elixir to support your appearance, right? But now I still carry 2 bottles of 3rd level and 4th level elixirs, so what's going on? In the hall, facing Gordon's accusation, Kester was sweating profusely and his face was pale. His lips were trembling and he looked at Jason helplessly, but he didn't know what to say. Humph. On the side, Gordon looked at the frightened Kester and the gloomy-faced Lord Eludiba, but he was so excited that he wanted to shout, "How dare your Mori family steal my limelight? Thinking of sending such rubbish, you gave me a chance to see if I don't kill you." Sir Gordon, don't say that. On the side, the previous chat with Gordon was quite speculative, and he wanted to curry favor with him. Snook, the patriarch of the Taliban family, had a smile on his face. Anyone can see the meaning of his smile, which is full of ridicule and contempt. The gift from this little brother is really interesting. However, it is quite good if it is light on etiquette but heavy on friendship. Is light on etiquette but heavy on friendship? Everyone could hear the contempt and sarcasm in Chief Snoke's mouth, but when he said it like this, he seemed to be blaming the good guys. At this time, everyone in the hall was making secret thumbs up in their hearts, admiring the Snooker clan leader for being able to speak so grandly even when he was mocking others. He really deserves to be the head of the family. A 3rd level elixir, isn't it too shabby? Ha ha ha, does the Mori family have no money? Are you embarrassed to give away such a thing? This is simply an insult to Lord Eludiba. Yes, you are so ignorant. You actually gave such shit to Lord Eludiba, beat up the drowned dog. Everyone is willing to do anything. Some guests who wanted to curry favor with Gordon, the disciple of Master Ballanday, laughed wantonly and made slanderous remarks. One of them even said B*TCH without hesitation. Out. However, when he thought that this thing was for Lord Eludiba, he quickly covered his mouth. Of course, there were many guests who did not laugh out loud, but secretly shook their heads and sighed. Logically speaking, Jason should be ashamed when everyone laughed at him, but he still looked indifferent, like an eternal mountain, just smiling. Of course, if you look carefully, you will see a sense of contempt in his eyes, which is a kind of detached feeling that everyone is drunk and I am alone. Is what he sent really rubbish? Even though everyone thought the elixir sent by Jason was ordinary, there were still 1 or 2 exceptions, and that was Master Ballandayan, the elixir master of the palace of the Salem Empire. Active potion, softening potion, fusion potion, Why do you feel that there should be some unique connection between these three types of elixir? He couldn't help but murmured, his eyes flashing. Balandaean, apart from Jason, he was the person with the highest attainments in elixirs present. As a 7th-level intermediate elixir master, he could not see the purpose of the 3 elixirs given by Jason at a glance, but he possessed a powerful elixir. Pharmacy attainments made him instinctively feel something was wrong. Judging from the color and luster, the 3 bottles of spiritual potions given by Jason are indeed very ordinary, but the vague powerful spiritual power fluctuations occasionally revealed from the potion bottles are not at all like those of the 3rd or 4th level. What the elixir can possess. And according to the logic, there are no fools in the family that can participate in Lord Eludiba's banquet. Even if the family does not have enough financial resources, it is enough to come up with the 5th-level high-grade fusion. There is no need at all. He took out a bottle of 3rd-grade high-grade elixir and a bottle of 4th-grade high-grade elixir. The opponent's 2 bottles of 3rd-grade high-grade elixir and 4th-grade high-grade elixir were taken out of nowhere. These 3 points made Balandaean feel a little suspicious. In addition to Master Balandaean, another person is Jason's disciple, Loken. Although he does not have as profound attainments and strength as Master Balandaean, Loken has a deep understanding of his master Jason. There is a kind of blind belief. He absolutely did not believe that the gift his master had been tinkering with all night in the room would be 3 ordinary bottles of elixir. If others believed it, he would not believe it even to death. In the disdainful eyes of everyone, that the waiter came to Eludiba with 3 bottles of spiritual potion. At such a close distance, Master Balandaean's keen sense immediately felt the powerful spiritual power fluctuations vaguely coming from the 3 bottles of spiritual potion. Lord Eludiba, at this moment, Jason took a step forward and said calmly, he wanted to explain to Eludiba the taking method and efficacy of these 3 bottles of elixir. However, he has not yet. When Jason finished speaking, Gordon suddenly stood up and interrupted Jason forcefully. Lord Eludiba. Gordon looked at Jason with disdain, and then said loudly, not long ago, I learned from my teacher that I was going to attend your birthday party, and I felt both fear and joy. Gordon looked extremely sincere. The tone described this mood vividly. Lord Eludiba has always been the object of admiration in my heart, so although I am only an entourage under the command of Prince Tyeria and the teacher on this trip, I have also prepared carefully a gift for Mr. Eludiba. Of course, the gift I have prepared will not be as careless as some people do. Having said this, Gordon immediately put his hand into his robe. When he took it out again, a bottle of fiery red elixir had appeared in his right hand. This is a bottle of elixir that is as ruby-like. The red liquid in the bottle is crystal clear, like bright red blood. Under the light, it reflects red halos that are splendid and colorful and illuminate the faces of everyone in the hall. They are all reflected in red. This is seeing such a scene, everyone in the hall exclaimed. The scene produced by the elixir that Gordon took out was actually better than the 6 that Balandae took out before. The top-grade golden spirit potions were all exaggerated, which made everyone extremely surprised. After seeing the expressions of everyone in the hall, Gordon smiled and continued, I learned from the teacher that Master Eludiba was slightly injured when he was promoted to the 8th-level Emperor Spiritual Master. He has never been injured. It can be cured, so I tried my best to finally prepare such a bottle of elixir. I believe it will be helpful to Lord Eludiba's injuries. As for what kind of elixir it is, I believe that as soon as I unscrew the cap of the elixir bottle, all the elixir masters present will understand. Gordon pretended, and then unscrewed the cork of the elixir bottle. A burst of strong spiritual power fluctuations suddenly floated across the entire hall. At the same time, the hall was filled with a faintly pungent fragrance. This smell, this color, this kind of spiritual power fluctuations, this is it a backlash potion, someone in the crowd exclaimed. The backlash potion, just like its name, is specially used to treat the damage caused by spiritual power backlash during the spiritual master's practice. It is a 7th-level Emperor-level spiritual potion with excellent effects. What? Backlash potion? This is impossible. The backlash potion is a 7th level imperial potion, and its materials are extremely difficult to find. How could Gordon prepare it? It's a backlash potion. At this moment, a faint voice suddenly sounded in the hall. Although it was not loud, the originally noisy hall suddenly calmed down. The person who spoke was none other than Master Balandaean, the elixir master of the Imperial Palace. It was indeed a backlash potion. Although the color and smell were slightly different from what was described in the formula, the unique pungent fragrance and the violent spiritual power fluctuations that filled the potion bottle could not be concealed from him. Such a top pharmacist. For a moment, everyone's eyes fell on Gordon. Even Eludiba's face was so calm that he looked over. Although there was no expression on his face, there was a hint of anger in his eyes. Excited. Teacher, forgive me for not telling you right away. It was to give Mr. Eludiba and you a surprise. You are right, this is the backlash potion. Gordon said with a smile on his face. Backlash potion. After receiving a positive answer, Eludiba disappeared from his original position in a flash. When he appeared, he was already standing in front of Gordon, with an uncontrollable look on his face. Excited. For so many years, Eludiba has been troubled by the backlash injuries from his spiritual power when he was promoted to the 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master. In fact, although the slight amount of spiritual power and meridians are not harmonious, it affects his strength, but Eludiba Tomo didn't care too much. What worries him is that since he advanced to the 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master at the age of 40 and is now 50 years old, in the past 10 years, he has never been able to enter the realm of the 8th level Intermediate Emperor Spiritual Master because of the backlash of his spiritual power. The wounds left behind. For this reason, Eludiba has thought of countless ways and begged many people, but has never been able to solve it. As for this backlash potion, which is specially used to treat the backlash of Spiritual Master's spiritual power, Eludiba also searched for it in the Empire back then, but the materials for preparing the backlash potion were extremely difficult to find, and the preparation process was also extremely difficult. So he has been searching for it. Couldn't find it. Now such a bottle suddenly appeared, no wonder he was so excited. After receiving the backlash potion from Gordon, Eludiba, an 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master and the number 1 Master in Chi'er Province, was trembling like a child holding a cherished toy. He was full of excitement. Color. Gordon, I'm curious, how did you prepare such a bottle of backlash potion? I remember that you are the 6th level low-level elixir master, right? The backlash potion is a 7th level emperor level elixir. On the side, Master Balandaean couldn't help but ask. He naturally knew very clearly about the strength of his disciples. The backlash potion was a magical potion that even he could not prepare himself. But now it was prepared by Gordon. While I was feeling emotional, I also felt a trace of deep doubt. Okay, Teacher Balandaean. Gordon smiled very reservedly, gently stretched out his hand, and pointed at the medicine bottle filled with red liquid in Eludiba's hand. Actually, strictly speaking, the backphage potion I prepared is a little different from the traditional backphage potion. There are 2 difficulties in preparing the backphage potion. The first is that the dreamwood mushroom used in the preparation of the backphage potion is extremely difficult to find. The second is that the structure of the potion is too complex, making the preparation process extremely difficult. I have thought about these 2 issues for a long time. Regarding the first question, I am wondering whether I can use a substitute to replace the dream mushroom. And the second point, I thought about how to make the structure of the backlash potion simpler. Yeah. Master Balandaean nodded and didn't express any opinion. He just listened to Gordon's words quietly. So he kept looking through all the material illustrations he could find, and analyzed the elemental composition of each material, and compared it with the dream mushroom. At this point, Gordon suddenly became excited, and his expression was full of excitement. Finally, after looking through most of the material illustrations in the Imperial Library, I finally found a material that could replace the dream cedar mushroom, and that was the rhizome of the aurora vine. I compared the elemental composition of the dreamwood mushroom and the rhizome of the aurora vine, and the similarity between the two reached an astonishing 98%. And in terms of material use, the role of the dreamwood mushroom in the backlash potion is to stabilize the elements. Structure, and the rhizome of aurora vine also has this effect. What surprised and excited me even more is that the rhizome of aurora vine also has the effect of simplifying the structure. Speaking of excitement, Gordon's face showed a smile. She was blushing horribly, and saliva was constantly splashing out. Everyone in the audience listened attentively, motionless, and even their breathing seemed to have stopped. Strange, when Gordon took out the bottle of blood-red potion, there was always a look of confusion on his face. As a 9th-level elixir master in his previous life, he always felt that something was wrong. But when he thought about it, he wanted to go, but couldn't remember what was wrong for a while. It wasn't until Gordon told everyone that he used aurora vine rhizomes instead of dream mushrooms that Jason finally understood. Jason sucked hard. After sniffing, I immediately felt that among the pungent aroma of the backlash potion there was an extremely subtle weird smell. Yes, that's it. Jason suddenly understood. No wonder he had always felt something was wrong. It turned out to be because Gordon actually used the rhizome of aurora vine to replace the dream mushroom, which is essential for preparing the antiphage potion. Oh my god, this is a big trouble. Isn't this Gordon trying to kill someone? Thinking of the terrible consequences this might bring, Jason's hair stood on end. The backlash potion is a first-level potion. Every material in it has been extremely strictly selected. It has been experimented and refined countless times by predecessors. Unlike some low-level elixirs, some materials can be used casually. Substitute with other materials. In fact, in theory, there is nothing wrong with Gordon's previous analysis. Whether it is the characteristics of the aurora vine rhizome or the dream mushroom, Jason has an extremely clear understanding of the elemental composition of the two. 98 points of similarity. But 98% is not 100% after all. In the preparation of elixirs, even an error of 1,000th may cause completely opposite effects. In terms of the rarity of the material, aurora vine rhizome cannot be compared with dream. Compared with the shiitake mushroom, the dream shiitake mushroom is a 7th-level material. Even among the 7th-level materials, it is quite rare. The rhizome of the aurora vine is just an ordinary rare material. It can be bought in the auction house for millions of spirit coins. So, if both have the same effect, how could the ancestors who developed the antiphage potion finally choose the dream fructus mushroom among the two? That's because the aurora vine rhizome has a hidden attribute, which is that after entering the spiritual master's body, it will conflict with the spiritual power of the spiritual master's body. If it is a single aurora vine rhizome, it will be fine. It is taken by the spiritual master because this hidden attribute is not outstanding and cannot cause much harm to the spiritual master. However, if it is used to prepare a counterattack potion, during the preparation process of the counterattack potion, this hidden attribute will not cause much harm to the spiritual master. It will be infinitely expanded by the Hongshiguo, another material in the formula of the backlash potion. The final consequence of unlimited expansion is that after the prepared counterattack potion enters the spiritual master's body, it will not be able to heal the spiritual master's body. The injury caused by the backlash of spiritual power can cause the spiritual power in the body of the spiritual master who takes the spiritual potion to expand instantly, followed by a shocking explosion. What makes the elixir masters even more puzzled is that the power of this explosion will not be suppressed because the level of the spiritual master increases, but is directly proportional to the level of the spiritual master. After a 3rd-level spiritual master takes the backlash potion prepared from the rhizome of aurora vine, the power of the explosion may only kill himself, while a 7th-level imperial spiritual master takes the backlash potion prepared from the rhizome of aurora vine. The explosion power is capable of blowing up the entire mansion. And Eludiba is an 8th-level low-level imperial spiritual master. If he really takes this bottle of backlash potion prepared by Gordon, the power generated will be enough to blow up the entire mansion. A high mountain, not to mention the entire Phil family's mansion, probably half of Chien City, the capital of Chi'er province, would be destroyed by the explosion. What kind of Gordon is this? It's just nonsense. For a moment, Jason's hair stood on end. Everyone's current situation was as dangerous as having a bonfire party next to a barrel of explosives. Look at that, Gordon actually talking so happily, and Prince Tyeria and others listened with great interest, and some guests even exclaimed and praised once or twice from time to time. Jason was really curious. If these guys here knew that the backlash potion prepared by Gordon could kill everyone present and not even find the minced meat, would they still be able to laugh so happily? Master Ballandain and Gordon, the pair of masters and disciples, were really happily exchanging their preparation experiences. The group of elixir masters and family patriarchs next to them were all listening attentively, even Prince Tyeria with an expression of great interest. But the Eludiba patriarch on the side was so excited that he couldn't listen anymore. He was not interested at all in how the backlash potion was successfully prepared. The only thing he was interested in at the moment was, it's about whether this backlash medicine can really eliminate the evil diseases in his body for so many years. As if feeling the emotions of the Erudiba patriarch, Gordon stopped the conversation very well and said to everyone with a smile on his face, having said so much, I think everyone also wants to know what I have prepared. The real effect of the backlash potion. If possible, Lord Eludiba, please take it in front of all of us. Gordon's words just responded to the anxious mood of the leader of Eludiba. Yes, it is. Ah, Lord Eludiba, let us take a look. The guests nearby also started to cheer. Since everyone hopes so, then I would rather be respectful than obey. With a smile on his face, Eludiba put the red potion with the cork uncorked to his mouth. His right hand trembled, showing his extremely nervous mood. What the hell, this time, Jason no longer able to care so much, the whole person suddenly turned into a phantom and rushed over in an instant. Lord Eludiba, he shouted. What? Eludiba looked over in shock, but he only saw a black afterimage passing by. Dang. A crisp sound was heard, and the bottle of backlash potion in Eludiba's hand instantly turned into countless fragments, and the red liquid splashed everywhere in an instant. Everyone in the entire hall of the mansion was eerily quiet. They all stood there dumbfounded, watching Jason smash the potion bottle, and watching a potion bottle full of backlash potion splash out. In an instant, the guests in the hall were stunned, and everyone was wide-eyed. Eyes. There was a cluck sound in the middle, but nothing could be said. The leader of Eludiba was even more shocked. With his strength, under normal circumstances, Jason would not be able to hit the potion bottle in his hand, but he was really excited and nervous before. As Jason shouted loudly, his thinking paused for a moment. More importantly, he did not expect Jason to do this at all. Under so many factors, he finally failed to keep the backlash potion in his hand. What exactly is this situation? Everyone was confused. They didn't understand why Jason was so crazy. The most nervous one was the Kester clan leader. The appearance of Gordon's backlash potion had already diverted everyone's attention away from him. The gifts from the Mori family had been transferred before, but I didn't expect Master Jace to make such a move. When the crisp sound came, Kester was stunned. This is really a big trouble. A large amount of sweat broke out on his forehead instantly. Master Eludiba could kill them in an instant when he was furious. In fact, Jason also had some feelings in his heart. I was worried that Eludiba would take action without asking the reason. No matter how good the mood is, it would be difficult to keep calm in this situation. But Eludiba rarely kept it. Maybe it's because this is his birthday party, maybe he wants Jason to explain, or maybe it's for other reasons. Eludiba didn't take action immediately. Instead, he looked at the backlash potion that was splashed all over the ground. And then looked at Jason with anger in his eyes, and an invisible pressure instantly enveloped Jason. I need an explanation. Eludiba said in a low voice. Even a fool can feel the huge suppressed anger in his tone. The entire hall was filled with a suffocating oppression. Feel. This, I think I can explain after making sure that the full bottle of pseudo-reverse potion had been spilled on the ground. Jason breathed a long sigh of relief and faced Eludi. Chief Boss spoke up. How do you explain? Before Eludiba could speak, Gordon's eyes were red. His whole body seemed to be swallowed up by anger, his handsome face was completely distorted, and his eyes were full of fierceness, so vicious and resentful. His expression looked like he wanted to cut Jason into pieces. No wonder Gordon lost his composure. If the injury that has been bothering Eludiba can be cured by him, he can become Eludiba. Diba's benefactor, with Eludiba's character, no matter what difficulties he encounters in the future, Eludiba will never ignore him. This will be an extremely huge treasure. And not only that, in the hearts of all the guests present, but more importantly, in the hearts of Prince Tyuria and Teacher Ballandain, he will be valued. Perhaps his future path will change because of today's events. It has to be completely different. However, all of this was now destroyed in Jason's hands. In an instant, Gordon felt as if he had fallen from heaven to hell. How could he not lose his composure? In Gordon's view, this Jace, even if he died 1,000 times, would not be able to make up for his losses. Although the difficulty of preparing a counterattack potion using Aurora Vine rhizomes instead of Dream Cedar Mushroom has been greatly reduced, with his current strength as a 6th-level low-level elixir master, it has been prepared countless times. After succeeding once, he couldn't guarantee whether he could succeed next time. More importantly, now that Teacher Baranday also knows his preparation method, as Lord Eludiba, he will never let it happen again. Prepare it yourself and let a powerful elixir master like Mr. Ballandain prepare it. Although the formula was researched by himself, Lord Eludiba's gratitude to him will definitely weaken. I think everyone here should thank me. If it weren't for me, you would all be dead by now. Not only you, but also half of the people in Chien City should be dead by now. Jason's eyes showed an incomparable confidence. He said calmly. You fucking fart. As soon as Jason said these words, a loud sound suddenly burst out from Gordon's mouth. The veins on his forehead swelled, and there was a possibility of taking action at any time. And all the guests around him couldn't help but roll their eyes. This guy was too shameless. He knocked over the backlash potion that could cure Eludiba, but he said that he wanted to save everyone. Could it be that this backlash potion could not only cure Eludiba, but also cure Eludiba? Lord Rudiba went crazy and couldn't kill them at will. He can say such things. Is there anything he can't do? So, you are still our savior, someone in the crowd sneered. Since everyone doesn't believe me, how about we do an experiment? Jason said indifferently, with an extremely calm expression. Seeing Jason's expression, for some reason, Kester and Locke, who were extremely nervous before, felt inexplicably relieved in their hearts. They all thought of it reminds me of the scene last year when Jason challenged Locke and promoted him to the 5th level of Advanced Elixir Master in one day. Experiment? Everyone present looked at Jason with sneers and sarcasm. Well, let's see what else this kid can do. Master Eludiba has a really good temper. If it were me, I would have slapped this kid to death. Someone in the crowd made an angry sound, as if the overturned backlash medicine was intended to treat his body. Facing the noisy noises around him, Jason looked indifferent and didn't pay any attention to it, but walked to the dining table. In front of him, he picked up an empty tall crystal wine glass, and then poured a full glass of water into the crystal wine glass. After doing all this, Jason came to Eludiba again, and then squatted down. Come down. The floor of the Phil family's hall is made of smooth glazed porcelain. On the pomelo porcelain, there are also Huawen who are responsible for the tedious work, giving people a sense of grandeur. In addition to being highly ornamental, this kind of glazed porcelain floor it also has the characteristics of being impermeable, anti-slip, and wear-resistant. The red backlash potion that was previously knocked over was messily embedded in the path of the pomelo porcelain floor. This kid won't want to knock these over. Are you going to collect the backlash potions again? Someone in the crowd was sneering. The textures on this kind of glazed porcelain floor are extremely delicate. If you want to wipe off the backlash potion, it is very simple. You just need to wipe it with a dry cloth. But if you want to extract it, it is no more than a fool's errand. Dreaming. In front of everyone, a flash of light suddenly flashed across Jason's eyes, and then his right palm hit a pomelo porcelain floor heavily. Bang! A strange vibration was transmitted from Jason's right hand to the ground, and then in everyone's surprised eyes, the backlash potion remaining in the pattern of the grapefruit porcelain floor seemed to be pulled by some weird force. It was instantly shocked into the sky and gathered into a drop of medicinal liquid the size of a red bean in midair. Jason's left hand holding the tall crystal wine glass shook slightly. Tick-tock. This drop of backlash potion quietly fell into the tall crystal wine glass filled with clear water, and slowly spread in the transparent clear water. Jason's move immediately shocked everyone present. Eludiba, Mu, and several 8th-level Imperial spiritual masters such as Balande had a hint of surprise in their eyes. The hand that relied on palm slapping, the physical vibration revived the medicinal liquid in the pomelo porcelain floor without damaging the pomelo porcelain floor at all. Such controllability cannot be achieved by even 8th-level Emperor spiritual masters like them, but the person in front of them, Jason, now he showed his hand to them. After doing all this, Jason stood up and raised the crystal wine glass with a faint red floating in his hand. Everyone knew that this faint red was the one Jason had shown earlier. Sun collected a drop of spilled backlash potion from the ground. There is a drop of backlash potion in it. Although it has been diluted by water, the most basic effect is still there. Jason said. All the elixir masters present nodded. Although a drop of the backlash potion could not heal all the injuries on Master Eludiba's body, its most basic effect was still there, and it would not be ineffective due to the scarcity of the quantity. Mr. Gordon, did you prepare this bottle of antiphage potion? Could you please drink this glass of water containing a drop of the antiphage potion in front of everyone? Jason said to Gordon on the side, his face with a faint smile on his face. Gordon, who originally had an extremely angry face and wanted to cut Jason into pieces, suddenly changed his face after hearing Jason's request. There was a trace of panic in his eyes, and suddenly he seemed to feel that his attitude was not right, and he roared angrily, I have never been injured due to the backlash of spiritual power. Why do you want me to drink this? Jason smiled. Guessing Gordon's reaction, he didn't take it seriously, but handed the crystal wine glass to Eludiba's hand. Lord Eludiba, you can take a sip of this backlash that Gordon said can heal your injuries. Potion. Eludiba took the crystal wine glass with a trace of doubt on his face. By the way, Mr. Eludiba, I can give you a piece of advice. When you drink, you can sip it one sip at a time. Don't drink it. I drank the whole glass of water at once. Jason added with a smile. Seeing Jason's confident look, Eludiba hesitated, and finally picked up the wine glass and took a small sip. The air was so dull that it was almost solid, and everyone present did not dare to express their dignity. His eyes were constantly looking at the Erudiba patriarch in the center of the hall, wanting to see what would happen. A faint red light slowly emerged from Eludiba's body. The backlash potion is working. This is the backlash potion used to treat the injuries on Master Eludiba. A spiritual pharmacist in the crowd exclaimed. The red light on Eludiba was the result of the effect of the backlash potion, but soon, the red light dimmed again. What a pity. The content of the backlash potion in this crystal wine glass is too low. If it is a full bottle of backlash potion, it will definitely be able to heal Lord Eludiba's injuries. Someone was sighing, but as soon as he finished speaking. Ah! Eludiba in the center of the hall suddenly let out a painful roar, and a violent and powerful spiritual power burst out from his body instantly. The terrifying pressure filled the hall. It made people almost suffocated. His face instantly became extremely ferocious, and a green-black tendon protruded on Eludiba's exposed body, which looked particularly terrifying. "Quick, everyone, get out of the way!" Mu shouted loudly, and Master Balandaean suddenly stood in front of Prince Tieria. Pa, pa, pa! A series of subtle explosions came from Eludiba. Came from the body, in full view of everyone. The protruding blue tendons on Eludiba's body suddenly burst open, and streams of blood sprayed in the hall, and the air was suddenly filled with a strong smell of blood. Pfft! A mouthful of blood spattered from Eludiba's mouth. His face, which had been livid because of anger, now turned pale. This is the change in Eludiba's body. Suddenly everyone present was stunned. They all stood there with dull faces. No one thought that Eludiba would undergo such a change after taking the water containing the antiphage potion. At the thought of the almost suffocating, terrifying coercion emanating from Eludiba earlier made everyone feel frightened. However, what made everyone present breathe a sigh of relief was the violent and chaotic spiritual power of Eludiba. At this moment, he slowly calmed down. Eludiba's closed eyes suddenly opened, and a bright light flashed from them. He turned around and looked at Jason, with incomparable doubts in his eyes. "Jace, can you explain it to me?" Eludiba frowned tightly, but his tone was much better than before. Some people who were interested could even hear the difference in Eludiba's tone. There seems to be a hint of gratitude. In the hall, the atmosphere was strange and uncomfortable. Eludiba looked at Jason with blood on his lips. Lines of spiritual power continued to spread out of his body. In an instant, his open wound, the blood stopped, but the bloody wounds constantly reminded everyone of what had happened before. Everyone could see clearly that when Jason received the backlash potion liquid just now, he did not move any hands or feet, and the water was also taken from the dining table. There would be no problems. So what happened to Mr. Eludiba? The cause of what happened to him could only be the problem of the backlash potion itself. It seems that Gordon really asked about the bottle of backlash potion that he took out earlier, but how could there be a problem with the backlash potion? The minds of all the elixir masters are confused. As a 7th level imperial elixir, the backlash potion is an extremely mature elixir. This has been proven by countless experiments. So the only possibility is the aurora vine. The rhizome replaces the changes caused by the dream mushroom. It's very simple, Master Eludiba. Jason smiled. The backlash potion is a kind of potion that specializes in treating spiritual backlash. Its own technology is extremely mature. If there is a bottle of real backlash potion here, it can indeed heal your injuries. The problem lies in the fact that Gordon used the aurora curtain rhizome instead of the dream fructus mushroom. Although the bottle of spiritual potion he prepared also contains some of the effects of the backlash potion, for a spiritual master, it is not as a poison that can kill people. Many of the people present are elixir masters. I think everyone knows that the rhizome of aurora vine has a hidden attribute that will conflict with the spiritual power of the spiritual master. What happened before the abnormality in Master Eludiba is due to the conflict between the hidden properties of the aurora vine rhizome and Master Eludiba's own spiritual power. Eludiba nodded. After he took the cup of water with the backlash potion, he felt a force conflicting with the spiritual power in his body. It turned out to be because of the rhizome of the aurora vine. Impossible at this moment, an old man said in the crowd. Although the aurora vine rhizome has this hidden attribute, it is good, but under normal circumstances, this hidden attribute will not be expressed. Even if it happens to be expressed, it can only be harmful to spiritual masters below the 3rd level. With the strength of Master Eludiba, an 8th level low-level emperor spiritual master, he can completely ignore this attribute of the aurora vine rhizome. Yes, the hidden properties of the aurora vine rhizome are extremely weak. How could it cause such a big reaction in Master Eludiba? Yes, yes. In the hall, the elixir masters all nodded. They, the elixir masters, all know the hidden properties of the rhizome of the aurora vine. The reason why they did not mention it before is because the hidden properties of the aurora vine are generally not expressed. Even if the expression was extremely weak. After hearing the speeches of everyone in the hall, Jason smiled. Normal Aurora Vine rhizomes naturally cannot have an effect on 8th-level low-level Imperial spiritual masters like Master Aruba, but Gordon chose to put them in the preparation of the counterattack potion. The red fruit in the counterattack potion. Can I think you all understand the meaning of infinitely amplifying this hidden attribute in the rhizome of Aurora Vine, right? Jason looked calmly at the elixir masters headed by Master Ballandain. Can the red beginning fruit infinitely amplify the hidden attributes in the rhizomes of the Aurora Vine? There is such a thing, how come I haven't heard of it? Hongshiguo? Aurora Vine rhizome? The structures of these two materials are not opposite, shouldn't they have such an effect? Many elixir masters murmured in their mouths, frowning, and their eyes were full of confusion. Even the Imperial Palace elixir masters like Master Ballandain and the 7th-level intermediate elixir Emperor Master, frowning, he couldn't understand. Seeing that these elixir masters still didn't understand, Jason didn't feel dissatisfied at all. He shook his head, and then explained, hidden attributes refer to some materials that they have, but are extremely attributes that are difficult to express. The reason why the recessive attribute of Aurora Vine rhizome is extremely difficult to express is because it is hidden deep in the element structure. It is generally difficult to be stimulated. Even if it is stimulated, because of its mobility, if it spreads, it will not produce serious effects. In the preparation of the backlash potion, the role of Hongshiguo is to stabilize the complex element composition. It can well preserve the structure of the hidden attributes of the Aurora Vine rhizome, making it unable to spread. It keeps expanding. A more important point, Jason's expression was extremely serious. The conflict between the hidden attributes of the Aurora Vine rhizome and the spiritual power coexists, and it does not depend on the level of the spiritual master. The improvement and suppression is directly proportional to the level of the spiritual master. I think everyone should have seen the result of Lord Eludiba taking the backlash potion before. This time, everyone suddenly realized that everyone present, the weakest among the elixir masters, are all 5th-level elixir masters, and most of them are 6th-level elixir masters. They are naturally very profound in elixir medicine. Jason's explanation from the shallower to the deeper immediately made their hearts tremble. The doubts were as bright as the fog being lifted by the sun. Their faces were filled with light of excitement. At this moment, all the elixirs in the hall were like a group of primary school students who could not answer the questions. After seeing the teacher explaining the topic step by step, the excitement were beyond words. Eludiba also nodded heavily. What happened to the backlash medicine in his body made him even more excited. The right to speak. Seeing the reactions of all the elixir masters on the scene, some of the family patriarchs present were dumbfounded. No one who can come here is a fool at all. Regardless of the condition of Lord Eludiba or the elixir masters, the reactions all proved that what Jason said before was correct. Thinking of the terrifying appearance of Master Eludiba before and the pressure that suppressed everyone present I couldn't help but shudder. A trace of backlash potion can cause Lord Eludiba to undergo such a change. If it were a whole bottle of backlash potion, no one would believe what would happen. Maybe half of the people in Scarlet Flame City will die, as Jace said before. Thinking that he had been on the verge of death before, everyone couldn't help but feel a chill behind them. For a moment, everyone in the hall looked at Jason with different eyes. Jason's actions before were equivalent to saving everyone present. Look at what you did before. Sneering and disdainful. In fact, now, looking back and thinking about it, everyone also discovered a lot of things that were wrong. After all, it was an incredible thing that Jason suddenly broke the backlash potion that could save Lord Eludiba's body. After all, in that situation, in a rage, Lord Eludiba could kill Jace instantly at any time. Who would be stupid enough to make fun of his own life just to make others sick? But in the situation just now, no one was willing to listen to the other party's explanation. Making such a mistake just to see Jace's joke was really inappropriate. Lord Eludiba. Master Ballandain stepped forward with a look of shame on his face. If it hadn't been for Master Jace before, I'm afraid my disciple would have really caused a catastrophe." Having said this, Master Ballandain still had a hint of fear on his face. As the highest-level elixirist present, he would have the most profound consequences of taking the backlash potion on Eludiba after Jason. The power generated by the explosion of an 8th-level Emperor Spiritual Master can definitely kill everyone in the hall. It's okay for him to die here. If Prince Tyeria also dies here, then he may be burdened with infamy. "You bastard, why don't you come here to accompany Mr. Eludiba?" Master Ballandain roared angrily at Gordon, whose face was ashen behind him. "Lord Eludiba, I'm sorry." Gordon came to Eludiba, his face full of guilt. "That's it, that's all." Master Eludiba sighed and waved his hand, his eyes dimming a lot. He didn't want to pursue Gordon anymore. After all, he wanted to treat Zizi, but he was too surprised when he saw the backlash potion before. Now, even though he was saved by Jason, he felt lost in his heart. There was no way to cover it up. Seeing Gordon's apology, Jason on the side couldn't help but sneer. "Humph, and Master Jace, if it weren't for him, what happened to everyone here? No matter how many lives you have, it's not enough." "What a bastard!" he cursed loudly. When he thought of the dangerous situation before, Master Ballandain couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Gordon raised his head and looked at Jason, the hatred in his eyes flashed, and he gritted his teeth. "Let's go ahead," he said before. "Jace, Master, thank you so much." He lowered his head and his expression instantly became extremely sincere. "I can't bear it." Before Gordon finished speaking, Jason just dodged away with a disdainful sneer on his face. Jason's move immediately surprised everyone in the hall, but after thinking about Jason's previous dangerous situation, although everyone felt that Jason was not open-minded enough, it is also human nature. "Master Ballandain, although you are a master of elixirs, I have to say that your vision for finding disciples is really poor. With this Gordon's character, he is not worthy of becoming a master of elixirs. This is an insult to the sacred profession of elixir master." Jason looked at Ballandain coldly, his voice was full of uncontrollable anger, and he didn't care about the other person's identity at all. Silence. Everyone in the hall stared at Jason with an angry expression. They all opened their mouths wide, showing expressions of disbelief. This Jason is actually criticizing Master Ballandain? Did I hear it wrong? Their expressions were blank and they couldn't believe it. Who is Master Ballandain? That was the elixir master of the Imperial Palace. The 7th-level intermediate elixir master is a prominent figure even in the Empire. Among all the people present, even Lord Eludiba and Lord Mu did not teach Balian a lesson. Master Dine's qualifications may not even be met by Prince Tyeria, but this boy named Jace dares to speak like this to Master Ballandain. Is this kid crazy? Master Ballandain's face, he couldn't help but twitched, and a trace of anger flashed in his eyes at first. But thinking of Z's previous situation, he suppressed it with all his strength, and said apologetically, "Master Jace, I call you respectfully. Master, it's because of your previous accomplishments in elixirs." But Gordon also had good intentions and wanted to treat Patriarch Eludiba. Good intentions? Hey, what a good intention! Jason suddenly interrupting Master Ballandain's words, he sneered twice, and then said with a sarcastic tone, "Ignorance doesn't mean you are ignorant like this." Jason's move immediately made everyone present feel uncomfortable. Who are you, kid? Master Ballandain is a 7th-level intermediate elixir master. For someone to put down his pretentiousness and call you master and apologize to you is because he thinks highly of you. Do you really think you are a person? Many people were muttering in their hearts, but after thinking about the fact that Jason saved them before, this time they just watched quietly and did not make a sound. Master Jace, what do you mean? No matter how well-behaved Master Ballandain was, he still had anger on his face when he was continuously scolded by a young man, and he said in a low voice. What do you mean? Without warning, Jason suddenly took a step forward, grabbed Gordon's arm in front of him, and then suddenly opened the sleeves of his robe. What are you doing? Gordon was caught off guard by Jason's sudden attack. He shouted loudly. The strength of the 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master burst out in an instant and he pulled his arm back. But that shocking glimpse earlier allowed everyone to see something special. Gordon, what is this? Master Balandaean's face was ashen, and he said coldly to Gordon with a gloomy face. With his previous strength, he naturally saw what was on Gordon's arm. Teacher, Gordon's face turned pale and he wanted to defend. Take up your sleeves for me. Barandaean suddenly roared, a trace of blush appeared on his face and his eyes were red. Gordon hesitated for a moment, feeling the cold eyes around him and the angry eyes of Teacher Balandaean. He gritted his teeth and lifted up his sleeves. On his arms, there are small scars that look particularly clear on his fair arms. Let me ask you, what are these? Master Balandaean's voice was cold and emotionless. One by one, Gordon hesitated and was completely speechless. His body was trembling, his head was lowered, and his flickering eyes revealed the fear in his heart. Gordon, what did I ever tell you? Master Balandaean's voice was cold. Elixir alchemist is the most noble profession on this continent. We must always be worthy of the sacred title of elixir alchemist, but what about you? Master Balandaean's voice was extremely deep, as if he had aged much in an instant. Oh, this Gordon is too much, simply too much. I'm also surprised, how can an elixir master take out the elixir he prepared without appraising it? This Jess, his eyes are too much. It's too sharp. In the hall, some elixir masters secretly discussed it, with expressions of indignation. What is going on? What happened? Some guests who were not elixir masters had no idea what was happening. Teacher, I was wrong, please forgive me. Gordon suddenly knelt down in front of Master Balandaean, tears streaming from his eyes. Forgive you? Master Balandaean looked extremely tired. Gordon, you really disappoint me. Teacher, I tested the effect of the backlash potion, but I thought, with Lord Eludiba's strength, he can completely suppress the negative effects caused by this backlash potion, and I didn't expect this. What do you think? Do you think you can make fun of us with the life of Lord Eludiba? Take the lives of the hundreds of us present, the tens of millions of people in Qian City, and the lives of His Royal Highness Prince Tyeria, are you kidding? Jason sneered on the side. If you want to make yourself famous in front of Mr. Eludiba, His Royal Highness Prince Tyeria, and Master Balandaean, that is your own business. If you are willing to gamble with your life, it is also your own business. You're just looking for death. But after you clearly learned about the efficacy of this backlash potion, you still thought you were gambling on Lord Eludiba's strength. What you did was not worthy of being a real elixir master. Jason's face was filled with incomparable anger. Don't pretend to be a victim with an innocent face, and you feel aggrieved and say it's for Lord Eludiba's benefit. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen you. So shameless. Jason's voice was like a giant hammer, hitting Gordon's heart mercilessly. He was really too angry. In fact, the reason why Jason was so angry was not because Gordon always targeted him before. What he was angry about was Gordon's identity as a spiritual pharmacist and his adventurous attitude of not taking everyone's lives seriously. Jason, who was a 9th-level elixir master in his previous life, has an incomparable love for the profession of elixir alchemist. The reason why elixir alchemist is respected is because he can help people in the world. A true elixir alchemist will definitely put himself into the world. The target of treatment was placed in the most important position. He could allow the other party to disgust him. He could allow the other party not to take his life seriously. At that time, he could not tolerate the other party's identity as a spiritual medicine master. As a 9th-level spiritual medicine master in his previous life, Gordon's kind of gambling with the lives of patients, just to improve his reputation and gain the attention of others, was intolerable to Jason. Gordon is not worthy of becoming a spiritual medicine master at all. Jason's explicit words also made all the guests who didn't understand much understand before. This gettin' is simply it's so outrageous, so outrageous. There is such a spiritual medicine master. I don't know how he was promoted to the 6th level of low-level spiritual medicine master. Many people were trembling with anger and wanted to rush up and kick Gordon hard. At this moment, Gordon was kneeling there with tears streaming down his face. His heart was filled with incomparable regret. When he was preparing this bottle of backlash potion, he did try a little bit, and it was that little bit of the backlash potion that made his body almost explode, leaving many wounds on his body. However, the backlash potion prepared from Aurora vine rhizomes did indeed have the effect of treating spiritual backlash. He hesitated for a long time at the time, and finally decided to take a gamble. When he thought about it, he is the 7th level low-level Emperor Spiritualist, and he can withstand the power of the backlash potion. With Lord Eludiba's strength far surpassing his 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritualist, even if there is any accident, it's totally manageable. If he wins the bet, he will be Lord Eludiba's benefactor, and his reputation will rise in front of the teacher, Prince Tyria, and all the guests. If the bet is lost, Lord Eludiba will be injured at most. He has good intentions, so Lord Eludiba will not blame himself. Gordon never imagined that the terrifying power in the backlash potion would increase with the level of the spiritual master. When he made this decision at the beginning, he never thought that the consequences would be so serious. Now, he also has a little fear, but more importantly, he regrets. It would have been nice if I had taken advantage of the opportunity when Jace shattered the backlash potion in Master Eludiba's hand to kill that kid. Gordon couldn't help but have such an idea in his mind. Of course, now, he can't think of anything. It's too late. Master Eludiba, I don't care about this kid anymore. I'll leave it to you to deal with today. No matter how you deal with it, I won't stop you at all. Master Balian Nayan sighed to Eludiba. Road. Let me handle it? Eludi glanced at Gordon, who was kneeling there. Suddenly, his right hand turned over violently, the giant golden hand condensed in the void, and then he aimed at Gordon and slapped him hard. Boom! The spiritual power trembled, the void collapsed, and the powerful spiritual power hit Gordon's body like a wave, slamming Gordon's entire body into the ground. The porcelain floor in the hall was shattered in all directions, and countless fragments flew away. Gordon was languid there, blood spurting out from his mouth. At least 7 or 8 bones in his body were broken by Eludiba's previous blow. Root, moaning continuously from the mouth. In front of Eludiba, an 8th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master, Gordon, a 7th level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master, had no ability to resist, but he did not dare to resist. His Royal Highness Prince Tyria, I will leave this Gordon to you. Eludiba glanced at Gordon coldly, and then spoke to Prince Tyria. Although he really wants to kill that Gordon, he also knows that the one who really decides Gordon's life and death here is His Royal Highness Prince Tyria. Come here, take this Gordon down and send him back to the Imperial capital. Hand it over to the Elixir Academy for trial. Prince Tyria spoke indifferently. As soon as Prince Tyria said these words, everyone present was stunned. Handing it over to the Imperial Academy of Spiritual Medicine Masters for trial is already said to be extremely serious. For what Gordon did at Lord Eludiba's banquet today, if he were to be tried by the Imperial Academy of Medicine Masters, the most serious result would be the death penalty. The best result of being expelled from the Empire is to serve others in the Elixir Master Academy for the rest of his life and not be able to step out of the Elixir Master Academy for the rest of his life. No matter which result it is, it will be difficult for this Gordon to get ahead in his life. In fact, brother, what Dunn committed today is big or small, but it is just a pharmaceutical accident. But it happened that the person he used to test was Mr. Eludiba, the governor of Chi'er province. What's more, it turns a deaf ear to the lives of His Royal Highness Prince Tyria and other adults, and the nature is completely different. Seeing the guards of the Phil family angrily dragging the seriously injured Gordon out, Master Ballandane's face suddenly became much gloomier, and he looked extremely tired. There was silence in the entire hall. Hundreds of people looked at each other, and for a moment they didn't know what to say. Lord Patriarch, shall the banquet continue? Go on. Eludiba also spoke out tiredly. Anyone who makes such a mistake at the birthday party will not feel better. And what shocked Eludiba the most was that hope suddenly appeared in front of him. The broken feeling of loss. In the past 10 years, Eludiba has been tortured by the backlash of spiritual energy all the time. I finally saw the hope of being treated, but now I am Ghost Lord Eludiba. At this moment, Jason suddenly spoke up. Huh? Master Jace, what's the matter? Just tell me if you have anything. As long as I, Eludiba, can do anything, I, Eludiba, will never refuse. Eludiba spoke boldly and quickly came out of the shadow in his heart. But after so many things happened today, Eludiba was still full of gratitude to Jason from the bottom of his heart. If there was no Jason today, we still don't know how things will develop. After hearing those unhesitating words, many of the guests present were filled with jealousy towards Jason. Based on what happened today, in the future, Jason and the Mori family will be I'm afraid Chior province can go sideways. Jason smiled and walked to a table, where the gifts given by everyone before were placed, and the 3 bottles of elixir that Jason gave were also there. What does this Jason want to do? Could it be that you want to ask Lord Eludiba for a gift? Although he saved everyone's lives, it would be too shameless to do it directly at Lord Eludiba's birthday party, right? Many people didn't understand what Jason was going to do, and they were making random guesses in their minds. At this moment, everyone heard Jason smile lightly and said, I heard that Master Eludiba advanced to the 8th level 10 years ago. When I was an Imperial Spiritual Master, I suffered a spiritual backlash, and I have always had hidden illnesses on my body. I managed to get these 3 bottles of spiritual potion. Sir Eludiba, you can try my spiritual potion. Gah? Everyone who thought Jason wanted to ask for a gift was suddenly stunned. Did we hear correctly? They all couldn't believe it. They admired Jason's previous achievements in spiritual medicine. However, what Jason gave was only a 3rd-level high-quality active potion, a 4th-level high-grade softening potion, and a 5th-level high-grade fusion. Potions, these 3 bottles of spiritual potions of less than 6th level are needed to cure the spiritual backlash in Lord Eludiba, an 8th-level Imperial Spiritual Master. Isn't this Jason too whimsical? For a moment, the hall that had just restored some atmosphere became silent again, and everyone looked at Jason with incredulous eyes. They are not targeting Jason. Even if Master Balandaean takes out these 3 bottles of elixir, they will still find it unbelievable. After all, the level of these 3 bottles of elixir is not as strong as the 8th level Emperor of Eludiba. It's really too low. It's like using an intoxicating anesthetic to anesthetize an elephant or even a whale. That dose has no effect at all. Are these 3 bottles of spiritual potion of yours used to treat my spiritual backlash? Eludiba was also stunned for a moment. Although after what happened before, Eludiba was quite grateful to Jason, but what Jason said now was too shocking, and it was hard for him to accept it for a while. Chief Eludiba, I suggest you give it a try. At this moment, Master Balandaean suddenly spoke up. As the person with the highest level of elixir master in the entire hall, he wanted to give Jason a try. With these 3 bottles of elixir, he felt something was wrong at the beginning, but because of Gordon's incident, he did not have time to observe carefully. Now after hearing what Jason said, he suddenly thought of a possibility. Although this possibility was unlikely, Jason's knowledge of elixirs that he had shown in front of everyone made him believe it inexplicably. This young man is only 20 years old. Seeing what Master Balandaean said, all the spiritual medicine masters in the hall made buzzing comments. Want to give it a try? Eludiba cast his gaze on Jason's face, which was full of confidence and had a light smile on his lips. Then give it a try. Aru Bienba said calmly, with a glint in his eyes. Lord Eludiba, before taking the elixir, you'd better heal your injuries. Jason suggested. Eludiba nodded, took out a bottle of 6th level healing potion from his body, drank it in one gulp, and then sat cross-legged in the hall to recuperate. Rays of golden light slowly rose from his body. The faint golden light seemed to dye the entire hall with a thin layer of gold powder. The spiritual power lingered. Under everyone's gaze, the wounds on Ba's naked arms healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although Eludiba's body exploded earlier, it was terrifying, but in fact his injuries were not serious, and the trace of backlash potion was not that powerful. If he didn't take the spiritual potion, with the strength of Eludiba's 8th level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, it would only take a few hours. Now after hearing Jason's request, he took the 6th level healing potion. In a short period of time, the wounds on his body disappeared. After a moment, Eludiba opened his eyes, and then stood up. The original horrific wounds on his body had long since disappeared, leaving only a faint blush. Lord Eludiba, when taking the spiritual potion, you should first take the 3rd level high-grade active potion, wait until the active potion takes effect, and then take the 4th order high-grade gentle potion, and wait until the softening potion takes effect. After it takes effect, the last step is to take the 5th level high-grade fusion potion. Jason ordered. Can these 3 bottles of spiritual potion really cure the spiritual backlash in Master Eludiba? Impossible, impossible. Master Balandaean also said that Master Eludiba should try it before. Could it be that he saw it? What? What did you see? Hey, no matter how much Master Balandaean sees, it's still impossible. You don't know how to prepare active potions, softening potions, and fusion potions? We all can make them, but have you heard that this can cure the spiritual backlash? And it's the spiritual backlash of Lord Eludiba, an 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master? I wouldn't believe it even if you beat him to death. Seeing Jason's serious look, many people shook their heads. Jason took except for the 5th level high-grade fusion potion, which is a little difficult. The other 2 are extremely simple. At least 9 out of every 10 elixir masters present can prepare it, but they have never heard of it. These 3 elixirs have a therapeutic effect on spiritual backlash. However, when everyone was talking, their eyes were looking at Eludiba for a moment, for fear of missing any detail. Eludiba nodded, and in full view of everyone, he picked up the 3rd level high-grade active potion. Having made up his mind, he drank it all in one gulp without any hesitation. Goodoo. The sound of the elixir flowing into the throat was particularly clear in the silent mezzanine. Silence, deathly silence. Everyone's eyes widened, wanting to see how Lord Eludiba would react. Although all the elixir masters present did not believe that these 3 bottles of elixir could cure Eludiba, Jason had previously, the mastery of elixirs displayed still made them feel bursts of nervousness in their hearts. Time passed bit by bit, but Eludiba stood there quietly, unable to see the slightest change. In the crowd, a spiritual medicine master exhaled a long breath. Let me tell you, how can this 3rd level high-grade active medicine be effective on Lord Eludiba, an 8th level Imperial Spiritual Master? What buzz, however, before the man could finish speaking, a soft light suddenly appeared on Eludiba's body. Waves of active spiritual power, like jumping elves, emitted from Eludiba's body, making the spiritual elements in the air become active. Golden sharp spiritual power raged in the hall, giving people a shaky feeling like being at the center of a storm. This is the active potion really works. This is impossible. All the elixir masters' eyes widened, their mouths opened wide, and they exclaimed in surprise. The elixir is an extremely strict thing. Generally speaking, spiritual potions like this that directly act on spiritual power have a great relationship with the spiritual master level of the user. Generally, 3rd level spiritual potions are only effective for 6th level spiritual masters. Only spiritual masters below the master level will have obvious effects. This does not mean that the 3rd level spiritual potion will not be effective if taken by the Emperor Spiritual Master, but the effect is extremely weak and cannot achieve the expected effect at all. For example, if you want to make the Spiritual Master, the power is active. In addition to the 3rd level high-grade active potions, the 7th level Imperial Potion Huanyue Potion also has the same effect. The Huangyue potion is specially used for high-level spirits such as 7th Order Emperor Spiritual Masters and 8th Order Imperial Spiritual Masters. Masters activate spiritual power. That's why the elixir masters present were so surprised when they saw that the 3rd-level high-grade active medicine actually had an effect on Eludiba, the 8th-level low-level Emperor Spiritual Master, and they exclaimed. And amidst their exclamations, at this moment, Eludiba drank the 2nd bottle of 4th-grade high-grade softening potion. The metal spiritual power that was still sharp and masculine before was now in everyone's perception. It gradually became softer, like a girl's golden hair brushing her face, giving people a silky, soft and smooth feeling. This 4th-level top-grade the softening potion really softened the 8th-level low-level Emperor-level spiritual power of Lord Alyapemba. How could this softening potion have such a powerful function? 3 in the hall, before everyone could recover from the effects of the active potion, they were shocked by the softening potion again. Everyone on the sidelines was constantly surprised, but Eludiba, who was located in the center of the hall, was trembling all over at this moment, and his heart was filled with incomparable excitement. In Eludiba's perception, his 8th-level low-level, sharp, masculine metal spiritual power, under the influence of the softening potion, at this moment, actually became as gentle as water spiritual power, and the meridians in the body also became soft under the effect of this softening potion. Although he was extremely excited, Eludiba was not dazzled by the excitement. After feeling that the spiritual power and meridians in his body had softened under the effect of the softening potion, he picked up the last bottle of fusion potion and drank it down. The fusion potion with a strong medicinal fragrance slid into Eludiba's belly, and then powerful effects spread along his limbs and bones. Lines of rich and almost difficult to dissolve spiritual power are constantly spitting out from Eludiba's body. Because of the backlash from the spiritual master back then, there is always a connection between the spiritual power and the meridians in Eludiba's body. There was a slight barrier, and they could not be completely combined together, but at this moment, under the effect of the fusion potion, the 8th-level spiritual power in Eludiba's body gradually and completely merged with the meridians. This Tianxia Shrimp Bar welcomes you. Eludiba has an ecstatic smile on his face, his eyes are extremely excited, and his whole body is trembling involuntarily, like a wanderer who has been away from home for many years. Finally, when I returned to my hometown where I had been haunted by dreams, I saw my gray-haired old mother. That kind of excitement and emotion could no longer be suppressed and burst out. However, despite the immense excitement in his heart, Eludiba, as an 8th-level imperial spiritual master, still completely controlled his emotions. He constantly circulated the 8th-level spiritual power in his body in order to let spiritual power and meridians can be more perfectly integrated. Circle, he was tireless, and the spiritual power in his body was completely integrated with the meridians bit by bit. Finally. 3 Eludiba let out a roar from his mouth, and his body suddenly exploded, shooting out thousands of golden lights. Strong spiritual power instantly descended on the entire hall, as rich as sticky liquid. The liquid gives people a thick and heavy feeling. This different from Eludiba's ecstasy. All the elixir masters in the hall were completely dumbfounded at this moment. They were all stunned, looking at Eludiba and Jason in the center of the field. The 3rd-level high-grade active potion, the 4th-order top-grade softening potion, and the 5th-order high-grade fusion potion. When these 3 spiritual potions are combined, it turns out that being able to cure the spiritual backlash in Master Eludiba, what is going on with his mother? Their expressions were dull and astonished. What happened to Eludiba has completely subverted their thinking. When all the elixir masters in the hall were stunned and extremely surprised. On the side, Jason nodded with satisfaction. He could feel that the problems he had experienced with the spiritual power emanating from Eludiba's body had completely disappeared at this moment. The spiritual power backlash that Eludiba suffered when he broke through to the 8th-level Emperor Spiritual Master, finally, he was completely cured by the perfect combination of the 3 elixirs. Jason grasped the mutual dosage of the 3 elixirs perfectly. Like Jason, he only relied on his observations when Eludiba took action twice. Even if the analysis is so precise, I'm afraid it may not be possible to find the second one in the entire Stern continent. In the hall, Eludiba restrained the spiritual power escaping from his body and looked at his hands blankly. He felt that his hands were full of power. This was the feeling of being in control of the body is extremely comfortable. Because the spiritual power backfired in the past, the spiritual power and meridians in Eludiba's body were not completely integrated. On the surface, it seems that he is an 8th level low-level emperor spirit. Master, in fact, the power he can control is only 80% of that of a real 8th level low-level emperor spiritual master. However, at this moment, he has reached his peak state. However, this is not what makes him happiest. What makes him most happy, what is so exciting, is that because his injuries have been cured, because of the injuries caused by the backlash of spiritual power, he has been stuck in the 8th level low-level emperor spiritual master realm for 10 years, and can no longer advance even half an inch. However, from now on, he will, but it can climb towards a more powerful force. For Eludiba, this is something that cannot be exchanged for anything. Congratulations, Mr. Eludiba, what a congratulations! In the hall, the elixir masters were still in shock and had not recovered, but those old and cunning family patriarchs came forward one by one with smiles on their faces and congratulations. Father! On the side, Kiros and Yelena also had tears in their eyes, and they were so excited that they couldn't help themselves. As the children of Eludiba, they naturally know how painful their father has been because of this spiritual backlash injury. However, today, all this has passed. Haha. Eludiba laughed heartily in his mouth, everyone is so polite. He was still saying something in a happy mood, but suddenly, the smile on his face solidified in an instant. Boom, an extremely violent spiritual power burst out from his body, and golden spiritual power overflowed in all directions, like a spiritual storm blowing in the hall. Pfft! A mouthful of blood spurted out from Eludiba's mouth, and the scarlet blood floated in the air. A strong smell of blood suddenly filled the hall. Father, Lord Eludiba, the guests in the hall all exclaimed. They didn't understand what happened to Eludiba. Their faces were filled with panic. Tell me, what did you do to my father? Kiros quickly flashed in front of Jason and roared angrily. His cold eyes were like sharp blades, falling directly on Jason. Whoosh, pa! At the same time, several Phil family members with high authority and qualifications to attend the banquet also surrounded Kester, Locke, Loken and others. What on earth is going on? Kester almost cried in his heart. He was extremely excited because Jason had cured Eludiba's injuries before, but now he is panicked. However, he was at a loss. Today's twists and turns made him, a 6th-level intermediate spiritual master, feel a little overwhelmed. If he hadn't been the leader of the clan, he was also a calm-minded person. If he were an ordinary person, he might have collapsed. To be honest, as the patriarch of the Mori family, Kester has a very high quality and will not be shocked by some things, but what he attended today was Eludiba's birthday party. Based on Eludiba's birthday party, with Master Rudiba's identity and strength, the Mori family is like an ant in front of him. One look can wipe out the Mori family. It is precisely because this Eludiba can easily decide the life and death of his Mori family. Let him, the head of the family, become so miserable. While Kester was frightened, Jason also felt shocked in his heart, but his face remained extremely calm. With his meticulous observation and knowledge of elixirs, he can conclude that what happened to Eludiba was not due to a reaction to the medicine. Loken. On the side, Falut saw that Luokan was surrounded by everyone, and his face was immediately filled with anxiety. Hurry up and tell me what you did to my father. Otherwise, you won't blame me for being rude. Seeing Jason not speaking, Kiro's angry eyes almost burst out with fire. In fact, with his 6th level, the strength of the senior spiritual master posed no threat to Jason at all, but in such a situation, he had already lost his mind. Kiros, what are you doing? Stop it quickly. Aludiba, who was sitting cross-legged in the center of the hall, opened his eyes and spoke with difficulty. Father, how are you? Is it a problem with the elixir he gave you? I will help you get the antidote, Kiros said with anxiety on his face, and then stared at Jason fiercely. Nonsense, what are you talking about? If you don't want to get out of the way, I don't have time to talk to you now. Please show some respect to Master Jace. Aludiba roared in anger, his face turned red, and rich and violent spiritual power continued to surge out of his body. However, everyone felt strangely. There was actually something in Aludiba's eyes. With a hint of joy. Yes, it's joy, that expression of unexpected surprise that made everyone's minds confused. Aludiba, are you going to be promoted to the intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master? Besides, Mr. Mu, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up, with an inexplicable surprise in his tone. Aludiba nodded with difficulty. He couldn't care less about what to say anymore and quickly closed his eyes. Promoted to the intermediate Emperor Spiritual Master? Uncle Mu, my father, this is Kiros said with a puzzled face, and everyone in the hall also glanced, all focused on Mr. Mu's. Kiros, you should hurry up and stop surrounding Master Jace and the Mori family. Your father was about to be promoted to the intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master. The spiritual power surged in his body. He couldn't control it and vomited blood. Oh, it's true, Mr. Mu said with a bit of a smile on his face. What? Father, is he going to be promoted to the intermediate level of Emperor Spiritual Master? Kiros and others were completely dumbfounded. He could not believe others, but he still had no doubts about the words of his father's friend, Mr. Mu. Master Jess, Kiros' face turned red, extremely embarrassed. They got out of the way, and the few members of the Phil family who surrounded Kester and others also looked at each other stupidly and then stepped aside. In the center of the hall, Aludiba's aura continued to rise upwards, powerful spiritual energy lingered around, and a golden essence rose into the sky, forming a pale golden, spiritual pillar over the Phil family mansion, soaring into the sky. Why did Sir Aludiba suddenly advance to the 8th level intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master? In the hall, everyone's minds were filled with doubts, and then they all turned their attention to Jason in the crowd. It was unclear what light was flowing in everyone's eyes, nor what they were thinking. Suddenly, boom! A rumbling sound sounded in the sky, and Aludiba's aura instantly rushed to the extreme. Boundless golden spiritual power continued to condense around him, and then poured into Aludiba's body crazily. Inside the body, the entire Phil family mansion seemed to be shrouded in golden light, forming golden rays of light in the sky, like a summer golden mountain standing in the sky. In the center of the hall, Aludiba's eyes suddenly opened. Opening it, golden rays of light converged into his body. He stood up, like a golden god of war, walking out of the void, exuding an intimidating power. Congratulations, Aludiba, you have finally been promoted to the intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master. Haha, it's not easy. Mr. Mu laughed heartily in the hall. 10 years, it's not easy. Aludiba murmured in his mouth, his eyes were complicated, and there were tears in the corners of his eyes. 10 years ago, when Aludiba was only 40 years old, he was promoted to the 8th level of low-level Emperor Spiritual Master. Even in the entire Salem Empire, he was an extremely talented person. However, in these 10 years, because the backlash of his spiritual power caused him to be unable to advance, and who knows the pain involved. Master Aludiba, congratulations. Besides, many family patriarchs came forward to congratulate him. However, Aludiba ignored everyone and came to Jason in a few steps. He looked at Jason with complicated eyes, and then bowed deeply to Jason in the astonished eyes of all the guests. Master's great kindness, I will always remember it in my heart. If Master is useful to me in the future, just ask me. If I, Eludiba, frown, I am not a good man. As soon as Eludiba said this, people in the hall, everyone was shocked, and the family patriarchs looked at Jason with envy. With Lord Eludiba's guarantee, anyone who dared to be disrespectful to this young man would have to weigh his head. Sir Eludiba, you're welcome. Your promotion to the 8th level Intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master is due to your own efforts, sir, and has nothing to do with me. Jason said with a smile. Eludiba shook his head, with incomparable sincerity on his face. No, without your 3 bottles of elixir, master, how could I, Eludiba, be promoted to an Intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master? Eludiba. With these words, all the elixir masters in the hall immediately focused their attention on Jason. Even Master Ballandain, who was the 7th level Intermediate Elixir Master, was no exception. His eyes were filled with fanatical flames, as if he had seen a stunningly beautiful woman. That look in his eyes made him want to swallow Jason whole.